let's talk about the movie. How is it that you are especially in love with rock movies? Do you really want to do a rock movie like Led Zeppelin, like all those glorious names in the past, the Stones, Rock and Roll Circus? What happened? Did you have a breakdown?
Our breakdown was our first movie.
Le premier film fait une allusion à Some Kind of Monster, bien sûr, ça c'était un film qui racontait les problèmes. Go on.
Yeah. Well, as far as concert movies are concerned, I mean, there's been a lot of great concert movies in the past that have been a big inspiration for me, like Song Remains the Same for one, and Rainbow Bridge with Jimi Hendrix. And, you know, we've been trying to make a concert movie for like the last 50 years or so. It just never seemed to happen until our manager came up with this incredible vision about 4 or 5 years ago on building this humongous stage with all these production props built into it. And on top of that, filming it in IMAX and 3D. And so, I mean, this time we just had to go for it and say, yeah, let's do it. But yeah, I mean, we wanted it to be different from a lot of the concert films that we've seen in the past. And we came up with the idea of putting a story into the concert footage to make it more unique and different.
Lars, tell us about the movie. How does it happen? When you decide to do a movie, you have to find a producer, you have to find money, you have to discuss a script with people from Hollywood. Did they welcome you?
Well, like Kirk said, you know, we got back to this idea about 4 years ago. The first thing that we did was to build the stage. The stage took about 1.5 years to build. Then we went hunting for a creative partner, a writer and director who would take this journey with us. Went down to Hollywood, met some people. A lot of people in Hollywood couldn't quite understand the concept of mixing a narrative story and a concert. But when we met this mad Hungarian director named Nimrod Antal, he got it. He was ready to take the leap with us. He didn't ask too many questions. He was ready to jump. And so he went away for about 3 months and wrote the script, created the character of Trip, and created the sort of post-apocalyptic world that story is set in. And then it was sort of, you know, doing the stage and the story at the same time, hiring producers, and you know, making films at this level is a big undertaking. A lot of people involved. You know, Metallica is used to working in the confinement of a recording studio, which is a little more intimate and so on. But it was a lot of fun. It was challenging. We decided to fund it ourselves so we could control it. We like everything that we share with our fans. If it says the word Metallica on it, it comes from us, and there's no other people involved. If you have to go get money from Hollywood studios, you may have to listen to their versions, or maybe they may want this ending, or they want this actor, or they want this, or whatever. So if we do it ourselves, we can control it, and we give the fans hopefully a better product. So it's been a 3-year journey, crazy, but we're very happy. It's been 5 weeks now of talking about this movie and premiering it all over the world, and Paris today, and Madrid tomorrow, and then we're finished. So I couldn't think of a better place to finish than right here in France and Spain. So.
Good holidays!
Voilà, alors laissez-moi vous parler un peu du film. Vous allez voir, si vous voyez le film, vous verrez une scène de 60 mètres de long. C'est filmé en relief, vous avez vraiment l'impression d'être sur scène avec eux par moment, mais il y a une histoire. Il y a l'histoire d'un personnage qui s'appelle Trip, qui est un espèce d'assistant roadie. Trip est envoyé en mission. Trip is on a mission, your assistant roadie in the movie, and he has to go look for something. And he will live an incredible aventure. Il va vivre une aventure incroyable en allant chercher un camion perdu par Metallica dans une ville où il donne un concert. Je ne raconte rien du film. I'm not spoiling anything. I'm just trying to give you a glimpse. J'essaie de vous expliquer un tout petit peu ce qui se passe.
Shut up!
Does he die?
Please, Lars.
Question, does he die in the end? Question, does Trip die in the end? And why this character trip? Does it mean it's an initiation somewhere, the movie?
Well, without giving it too much away, I mean, anything can happen in the end.
The fact that the character is called Trip means it's an initiation somewhere, and it's gonna go through because of your music, because of what it does to people. Don't you think that?
Well, I think the point is that there really is no point, and I think that so often when you do these kind of projects, you have to sort of carve it out in stone and explain everything. And I think the message of Metallica is that all our friends and our fans should figure out what they want Metallica to be for themselves. James Hetfield's lyrics have always been very ambiguous, very open to interpretation. I don't think James wants to explain his lyrics. I certainly don't want to explain his lyrics. And I think that when Nimrod Antal wrote this great script and this story, the reason we picked it was because it fit Metallica so well, and in that it is very ambiguous and it is very open to interpretation. So everybody's asking, what happens to Trip? What's in the bag? What's it's all supposed to mean? And I think every person that sees this movie should be able to walk away from this movie with their own version of what it is that happens. If I go to the Pompidou and see a great Dubuffet painting or a Pollock or something like that, I want to walk away from that experience making up my own version of what that painting means. I don't need Dubuffet or Pollock to tell me what it means, or a critic to tell me what it means. I want to figure it out for myself, and I think that's when art works the best, is when people can kind of relate to it in their own way, and I think that this movie is the ultimate in that.
Maintenant, short questions. Who is the leader of Metallica? Lars.
Good answer, yeah!
That guy right there. And has been for 32 years.
Could you describe the ones who are not here, Lars and Kirk? Do you want to describe James or Robert? Give us some clues about them. If they are not here today, describe James for us.
Est-ce que vous pouvez décrire un petit peu vos collègues dans le groupe?
That's James easy.
That's a loaded question. We can either be here all night, or I can give you like 2 sentences.
I want to hear this. Kirk, come on. Describe Kirk and Robert. Describe James and Robert.
Be James et Rob, vas-y. Okay. En 2 phrases. James is tall and blonde. And Rob is
short Mexican.
short brown.
He's not here.
That's the short answer.
No, we have 4 very different personalities in Metallica. I think that most of our friends and fans have sort of figured that out by now. I think the great thing about Metallica is that we continue to evolve as people, and we're not stuck in one way, and we don't feel that we have to be one way all the time. It's 32 years, and we continue to evolve as people, as musicians, as artists, as parents, and so on. I think the best thing that happened to Metallica over the last 10, 15 years is that we all had children. And because when we all had children, Metallica became a better place because of that. Because the main thing in our lives now is taking care of our children and our families, and Metallica is more fun and is a better place. Metallica is almost like an escape now, where the 4 of us go, and so we all bring something different to Metallica. Robert is very balanced and incredibly gifted musician who actually is the one that the 3 of us look to often for chords and how did that go and what was this. He does a lot of homework and does a lot of thinking about the music, so the rest of us don't have to. And James is obviously the most gifted guitar player on this planet. Every time James Hetfield tunes his guitar or turns his guitar on, he writes like 5 riffs. So we have to make sure that Spider Dan's always recording, and that James is always recorded. And it's my job to kind of go through those riffs and pick out the best ones or whatever. But he's so prolific and he's so incredibly talented, and is also I think in the last few years has gotten a little more humble and is just continues to kind of be a greater and greater person to be around. And I think that the temperature in Metallica continues to get better and better. We get along better and better as we grow older, and we're more and more appreciative of what we have between us. We're more appreciative of what we have with our friends and fans. Our eyes are more open, and dare I say this, there's a lot of love around Metallica these days, and we try to take every moment of that in. Not here.
Alors, Kirk, Lars has been described as an incredible perfectionist. Is this a way to say he's a pain? You know, he always has something to say, he wants always to make it better or something.
Well, you know, I think Lars' general attitude of like, you know, just trying to get the best results all the time rubs off on the rest of us. To a certain extent, it's an annoyance, and I think he knows that. But you know, we, as a group, we all try to push each other as much as we possibly can and challenge each other and inspire each other. And Lars just has such an amazing amount of energy. He can like outlast all of us in any sort of task. I mean,
It's all the tea.
yeah, he always has a cup of tea next to him. I think that's his fuel. But I mean, he has a amazing stamina to concentrate, whereas James and I, we you know, our attention level just kind of goes other places, or we get bored or whatever, you know. But this man, he can like lock onto something and stick with it for sometimes months on end, even years if he needs to.
Wow. Help us all, God help us all. God help us all, God help us all.
The last time we saw you in Paris was when you played the Black Album at the Stade de France. On était tous au Stade de France. Le Black Album en jouant du dernier morceau au premier, ce qui était assez incroyable. Do you have plans to do another tour, to play Kill Them All, Justice for All? Do you have plans like that in the future?
Yeah, we're gonna come back and play all Blue Moon. With or without Louis.
Alors ils vont revenir pour jouer Lulu.
Oui.
J'avais pas parlé, I did not mention that.
And if you don't like it, we'll play it twice.
And then all the same anger.
We lost the anger. We lost the
So do I.
Lurid says Lurid is not very nice. Lurid est un garçon pas très sympathique, but he says the nicest thing about Metallica, and he's really in love with the
We love Blue. It's a great experience. I would never change. I wouldn't change one thing about it. I mean, it's when a rock and roll legend calls up and says, "Come and make a record with us," we just go where and when. So it was not just a pleasure, but it was I'd say a privilege to make a record with him, and I wouldn't change a thing. So.
When I look at the setlist of Through the Never, this is like a best of Metallica for the new age, isn't it?
When you do a project of this size, obviously, and make a film for the cinema at this scale, obviously you want to put songs in there that people have a relationship with. All kidding aside, I mean, you're not going to start playing, you know, the deep album tracks from Load and Reload. You're going to put the songs in there that people have a relationship with and a history, and for this type of movie of this size. So I think the set list is fairly obvious. My job was to try to balance it and the flow and the dynamic, and obviously to pick the songs that would suit themselves best for a film of this size. So, as any of our hardcore fans know, whenever we come and play in Bercy or Nîmes or wherever we play many different songs, and we have about 60 or 70 songs that we can more or less play at any time. But for this movie, we went, I don't like to use the word hits, but we went with the songs that would be the most familiar to the most people.
Il y a une dimension fantastique dans le film, je n'en dirai pas plus. Et ça m'intéresse de savoir ce que nos amis aiment de la fantasy. Do you like fantasy? Kirk, I think you collect phrases collect Rosetta paintings? Tell us about
Yes,
it.
yes, Frank Frazetta. Yeah, Frank Frazetta is one of my favorite artists. And I'm a big fan of horror films, fantastique films. I've been into them pretty much all my life, and have a huge collection of horror movie posters and artwork and movie props. And I just put out a book chronicling all this stuff called Too Much Horror Business. And yeah, it's something I've been into for a long, long time, and I still am into it up to this very, very moment. Yeah.
Lars, what is your position on fantasy? Do you like that, or are you more into art, modern art? Do you like science fiction, comics?
I'm not as big of a science fiction fan as Kirk is. The things that I like independent films. Right, I like happy films.
You like the most depressing films that you could find, and then you recommend it to me.
Every time Kirk asks me for a film, I don't want to see that. It's too depressing. So.
Chaque fois que Kirk me demande pour un film, il me dit je veux pas voir ça.
But that's great art. It's depressing and should move you. So I like film, independent films, sort of darker. But I'm not personally so much into horror or science fiction, and I like a lot of the, as you know, we talked about. A lot of painting, sort of post-war, abstract, modern painting, 45 to 65, mostly painting, not so much sculpture, but painting that's...
Are you still into Basquiat?
I will always be into Basquiat and Dubuffet and Soulage and de Kooning and Pollock and Yorn and Appel and Twombly and Robert Ryman and Bryce Martin and people like that.
Ça c'est un aspect peu connu de Lars Ulrich, le collectionneur d'art moderne.
Ouais.
So what are your next plans after the movie? When you go home, what is Metallica's plans for the future? A new record, tour, what?
2 records.
My main plan tomorrow night is to shut the fuck up about this movie. Talking about for 5 weeks. So tomorrow in Madrid, it's like a movie. Then we go home and we clear our heads out for a little bit, and then it's time to just start making the next record. We've done. It's been what, 5 years now since Death Magnetic, and we've done so many great things. We've started on festival, we made this movie, we've hung out with Lou Reed, we've played many great gigs in far corners of the world, and we've been to Stade de France, and we've done all kinds of great stuff, but we've done 2 short visits to the studio, and we've just laid the foundation for the next record. So now I think as soon as we get our breath back, we're going to go back into the studio maybe in a month or 2 and start making the riffs into songs and start just basically 2014 will be all about the next record.